Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Breakfast Central. As always, my name is Felicity.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Olisa Chukuma. Welcome to the program. Once again, just like you said, Thursday edition of Breakfast Central. We can't wait. So it's basically the day before Friday, which is getting set for the weekend.
I can't wait to say, thank God it's Friday. Anyway, join the conversation this morning and let us know where you're watching from. Use the hashtag #NCBreakfastCentral. You can also follow us at News Central TV. Our website is available at www.newscentral.africa. You can also download the News Central TV mobile app. Just head to our Play Store, your Play Store or iOS. But first...
we'll let you know what you can expect today, and here are some of the things we've got lined up for you. Just for you today, we have some news stories keeping you up to date from across Africa. You may have missed it from last time, but we'll keep you up to date for that. Then we head to the morning tea, where we look at the front and back pages from some of the papers across the African continent. Then there's our impact conversation, which comes from South Africa. Quite a controversial one for the chief judge, who clearly is in hot water now, a Judicial Conduct Committee, over his recent comments regarding perhaps the South Africa, Israeli-Palestinian situation. And yes, indeed, we've got more to on the program.
Yeah, that conversation I'm looking forward to it. I hope you can join us. There were wins for PSG and Chelsea in sports last night in the UEFA Champions League. Onyinye Obaro will tell us more on that during sports. He said something to me before we came into the studio. I'm expecting to ask her when the time comes. Also, you should expect our timelines from social media.
Yes, indeed. So there you have it. Lots to look out for today on the program. Well, let's start with some news for you. And we're starting out in Nigeria, West Africa. I'll begin with the updates on the Imo prison break in the southeastern side of the country. Now, more than, 80 fleeing inmates who escaped from the Owerri Custodial Center in the state's capital have voluntarily returned. Wow, what a shocking one, you have to say. Quite surprising. A source at the Nigerian Correctional Service disclosed that those who returned are mainly those awaiting trial and those who have less prison terms and those who are about to complete their terms.
But none of the hardened and condemned inmates who escaped has returned. Gunmen, whom the police said were members of the indigenous people of Biafra, had attacked the correctional facility and freed 1,844 inmates on Monday. Well, I did hear a story about one of the inmates who went to the family that gave evidence against him that got him convicted.
Oh, really?
And then the mob in that community set him ablaze, so he has died. One of the inmates that was freed, that came out of the correctional facility, has unfortunately passed away. There's some sort of grievance also.
But
I don't know. I also heard...
So would have been better off if he never
left. But I mean, maybe that's fate for him. Who knows? But the idea of amnesty for those who return to prison, I still haven't understood that well enough, that they should come back voluntarily and there will be amnesty. I'm still not sure what that means. Maybe we'll get someone to give us some sort of clarity of what that really means.
Quite shocking.
Anyway, let's go to Mozambique now. The unrest there, the latest is that displaced people in northern Cabo Delgado province have received support from the UNHCR after a recent attack by insurgents on the coastal town of Palma. This comes after attacks forced at least 11,000 people to flee Palma, with thousands more reportedly trapped inside the area.
But the UNHCR, the United Nations Refugee Agency, has warned that this number could cross to the million mark by June this year if the ongoing violence does not stop.
I am here at the temporary center where around 270 people are living, not in the best conditions. They are okay now in terms of having a shelter, a provisional shelter. But of course, this is not the ideal condition. These are people that are exhausted. They arrived by many means. Most of them arrived in a boat a few days ago, but some also arrived walking. The sentiment is transversal to everyone I've been speaking with. They are highly traumatized by what they have seen, by what they have experienced, seeing their families, their friends being killed, seeing their houses being completely destroyed.
All right, that's updates of the latest on the situation. Humanitarian crisis now going up to 1 million mark. It could, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency in Mozambique, with a crisis there. We talked about it yesterday on the program about the SADC, the SADC region, trying to meet to see what they can do about the situation in northern Mozambique.
We're hoping that some solution is found soon because, I don't know, some people's life investment might have been lost in the course of this unrest and they'll probably need to start up again. What will be planned to help them reintegrate, to help them start their lives again? We're hoping to see more on that in the coming days.
Well then, still more right here on Breakfast Central. Let's give you more. This time all about coronavirus and surviving the virus with... we are still ravaging the lives of and leaving many people, battling under the, ventilators. There are still some in the African continent who believe that the disease is basically a hoax, a mere propaganda.
News Central recently spent time with a popular Nigerian comedian, Ali Baba, who survived the virus infection after weeks of battling for his life. Our correspondent, Mary Chinda, has details.
Since its discovery in Wuhan, China in the late 2019, the African continent has witnessed at least 4 million cases of the coronavirus disease, with a death toll of more than 100,000. Some think this is still mere statistics. Back in the West African country of Nigeria, an increase in number of celebrities have made their journey to the great beyond after losing the battle to COVID-19. Top of them is Dan Foster, popular radio talk show host in Lagos, another Ubon King, former self-development coach and motivational speaker. The latest being Yoruba frontline political activist Yinka Odumaki, who passed over the weekend. It is not all gory. This 55-year-old celebrity comedian, Ali Baba Akpobome, is a COVID-19 survivor. His 2020 Yuletide was spent battling the virus.
My breathing dropped to 70-something, and you had a baseline of 95%. So I wasn't getting enough oxygen in. I had a sore throat that was hampering breathing, and the sore throat had infected my my breathing tract. And I also had a fever and weakness, then some feverish feelings and all of that.
He recounts his moments after embracing his new COVID-19 positive status. He says he moved from self-medicating to staying away from family. The isolation center became his new home.
The isolation center came up so that I would not infect every other person. But one of the people that was infected was my driver, because he was the one taking me from place to place. And so he needed to also be isolated. And so we got there and the isolation center was full. And so he had to medicate himself at home.
Today, Ali Baba, who is an NCDC ambassador, has intensified his social crusading effort to create more awareness on the disease. He is quick to dispel rumors that COVID-19 is a lie.
The conspiracy theories of, it's 666, by the injection. Have you seen the injection? It's fluid. So that fluid puts a SIM card inside your body. The fluid. Next thing they will tell us, there's this Gary that is imported. When you swallow the Gary, all your account details will be in there. No, I think that for some of them who are in that mindset, with that mindset of COVID, the vaccination is wrong, I think that they need to rethink everything.
Only in March this year, the Africa CDC put the number of vaccinations at about 7 million Africans. Ali Baba here encourages Africans to disregard every conspiracy theory about the vaccine.
If there's really no COVID, you think America will let 500,000 people die? you think Abakari will die.
Like scores of other COVID-19 survivors, life is gradually returning to normal for Ali Baba. But the focus is in keeping to the protective measures such as wearing face masks, using hand sanitizers, keeping a safe physical distance, and most importantly, getting tested, as well as self-isolating and visiting an isolation center near you if you're found positive. From Lagos, Nigeria, Mary Chinda reporting for News Central.
Wow.
That was a lovely report. I'll just say the visuals were really good. The cameraman did a really good job with it. But aside the aesthetics of it, this message needs to be amplified as much as possible. I'm joining a web press briefing by the WHO later today, and they're going to be talking about some of these myths. One of them is that there is a plan to reduce the population of Africa. And it's not just a myth. It's been promulgated by people who should know better. So it's imperative that conversations like this continue to be in the front burner so that people can take the vaccine for their own good.
Yeah, and Ali Baba is someone we all know, a comedian, celebrity. So he went through all that ordeal, and watching that report about, him having that ventilator. So quite a strong message from him. Right then, still Breakfast Central. Yes, indeed. Up next, right about now, Morning Tea. Let's look at the papers.
Okay, we'll start with The Guardian, starting from home, as Alyssa would say. The Guardian has this one. Over 6 million weapons with civilians. Abdulsalami raises the alarm. I'll take it again.
Wow.
Over 6 million weapons with civilians. Abdulsalami raises the alarm. For those who don't know who Abdulsalami is, you might want to read the paper, but I'll give you a teaser. He was a one-time military president.
All right. Also there's the talk about the curiosity as AMCON floats new airline from ashes of Arik Air. So perhaps might send for more aviation talks in Nigeria. And they've gone with an editorial at the top there. It says federalism is the answer after all. More on that on the front page of The Guardian in Nigeria. And quickly, no time to waste. We can move elsewhere from West Africa. Still sticking to West Africa. Let's go to Liberia. Monrovia. So we're taking the front page of the front page. Yeah, that's how the quiver is called. So
the front page, on the front page, off the front page this morning.
And how about that for a front page splash there? I am not a politician. And that's George Weah, former African Footballer of the Year, former World Footballer of the Year, current president of Liberia. He says, quote, I am not a politician.
I'm trying to understand. It sounds really weird. How are you not a politician? You're in politics, you're leading a country, you're making plans, you're juggling interests.
Or juggling the football.
No, he's not doing. No, he's juggling now. He's no longer juggling ball or looking for hat tricks. You're juggling interests in order to, aside the interest, still make your people happy.
Yeah, so it's
please,
also,
you are a politician.
So it also says, Weah says his inborn tendency as he is just a sportsman helping his country. And you can see that, I think he had more like a ceremonial match yesterday in the country, Monrovia. George Weah, number 14.
Maybe he said that in humor and the paper just ran with it.
Yeah, but it's quite striking when you have the former president, the president who is a former footballer and says he's not a politician, and and he's with his jersey. So there you have it.
Okay, we're moving on now. There's something I'm looking at, the Daily Nation. Let's go there.
East Africa, Kenya, Daily Nation. All right.
I love stories like this. Those are beautiful women on the front page. Power women driving politics. There is a little bit at the top of it. It says, strategy, big wigs count on family members and politicians for support. That's one for you. I'll take it again. I like it. Power women driving politics. There's some of them on the front page. At the very top corner, above the masthead of the Daily Nation, you're looking at a picture of a couple. That one is pretty sad. It says, please couples troubled love ends in debt. I saw that story in passing yesterday, and I was a bit saddened when love turns saw. I still...
All right, let's take one more paper. The last one we'll take, we're going to Zimbabwe in the southern part of Africa with the Daily News in Zimbabwe to quickly look at what they have there. So Daily News, straight we go. Alliance staring down the barrel, it says, as analysts, poo-poo, it's students' politics. So you want to find out more on that on the front page of it. So quite a political one there, and it's all about ZANU-PF out there in Zimbabwe.
There's too much trouble in this world, so I'm just going to run with the literal meaning of the one that says a time to celebrate. Yes, every day is a time to celebrate, because, I mean, the people, I say this, some people say I'm being a bit cynical, but it's not. The people that die for no reason of their making, I'm not better than them. So I should amplify living by celebrating, basically. That's it for the newspapers.
Yes, indeed. So we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll still have discussions taking us back to the southern parts of Africa. This time it's in South Africa, where a big man in judiciary is clearly in hot water.
Apologize or not to apologize? That's the question.
We'll tell you the story. Yeah.
South Africa is in the spotlight this morning, but is it a political conversation? Well, you will make a decision shortly.
Really?
The head of the South Africa's judiciary, Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng, has found himself in hot water for comments on Palestine. He was speaking in a webinar organized by the Jerusalem Post and said he was under obligation to love Israel since he is a staunch Christian. He said, "If I curse Abraham and Israel, the Almighty God will curse me too. I cannot do anything as a Christian other than love and pray for Israel, because I know hatred for Israel by me and for my nation can only attract unprecedented curses," he said at the time.
Well, Group Africa for Palestine complained about his comments and submitted a complaint to the Judicial Service Commission, which is the body charged with disciplining judges in the country. Now, the Judicial Conduct Committee ruled that the Chief Justice, Mogoeng Mogoeng, should apologize for those comments.
He has since filed papers appealing the decision, criticizing it, saying it will ultimately humiliate him, and called for the decision to be annulled as a flawed one. The Chief Justice is due to retire this year, so this has become a legacy issue for him as well. We're now joined by South African journalist and editor Dianne to unpack this really complex story, to be honest. Thank you very much, Dianne, for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Well, morning, Dianne. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, it seems like a very unusual situation to have a Chief Justice, having to apologize. Give us more on this issue.
Yes, well, in South Africa, we had recently an introduction of legislation from the JSC that basically made it clear how any judge should be disciplined. Because for a long time, there was a concern that there wasn't anything that properly regulated the judicial space. And that's where we have the Judicial Service Commission coming to the fore, and they have a number of processes in place. So while it is the first time that a Chief Justice is facing a complaint of this nature, it's not the first time that a senior judge is facing disciplinary action. Recently, we've been dealing with an issue of a judge president from one of the regions in South Africa, the Western Cape, and he's been facing complaints. So we have seen that there has been that appetite where there are issues with judges to take it on. And even if that is the most senior office in the judiciary, I think it's quite a good thing that the process is actually able to deal with a complaint of this nature and not shying away from requesting the Chief Justice to actually apologize, since he is the most senior judge in South Africa's judiciary.
Okay, you talked about process. Could you help us understand what the process for disciplining judges, how it is, how it works, and where does the conduct committee come into it?
Yes, absolutely. So there's an organization called the Judicial Service Commission, and they basically deal with the appointment as well as the disciplinary or removal processes relating to any judges. They will basically be conducting interviews, in fact, in the next 2 weeks for vacancies at various levels of court. But at the same time, when there are complaints against judges, they go to the Judicial Service Commission. They then give those complaints to the Judicial Conduct Committee, which is also headed by judges, and then the conduct committee will decide on whether there's a need for the complaint to be actually upheld or whether it should be dismissed. Sometimes when it's a very complex complaint and there's actually a need for further investigation, then there is what they call a judicial tribunal, conduct tribunal. And that's when they'll actually have an inquiry where they'll call witnesses to testify about what has happened. That didn't happen in this case. The Judicial Conduct Committee just looked at everything submitted on the papers that they were given to them, and they called for the Chief Justice to apologize as a result.
All right. Well, Dianne, people across Africa, watching this story, following this story, will ask, what is the Chief Justice being told to apologize for exactly? We've read out his comments, is it really being hanged, basically, for supporting Israel? And shouldn't that be his personal opinion, despite the Israel-Palestine, debacle, as we know?
Well, in the South African context, there are actually a number of NGOs as well as trade unions who very actively campaign for Palestine.
Okay.
And it is quite a contentious issue. There are organizations like Africa for Palestine, BDS. Some of the unions here also have strong affiliations to the Palestinian struggle. So it is actually something that has ended up in South Africa's courts, where they've challenged the South African government's position, often calling them to take a stronger stance on Israel. And that's part of one of the reasons why this complaint came before the conduct committee, because the feeling was that the Chief Justice, because he might also, and many judges might be called on to actually get involved in deciding on some of this contentious litigation, that he shouldn't actually be speaking publicly about an issue that essentially is in the political space. And the general sort of conduct that is accepted here in South Africa for judges is that they don't really comment on political issues or issues that are seen to be political, purely because a lot of political issues end up being litigated in court.
But Dianne, he was speaking at a webinar organized by the Jerusalem Post. So obviously, clearly, but the mere fact that he's there only shows where he tilts towards, basically.
Absolutely. And that's part of the concern, is to say that as the Chief Justice, the Africa for Palestine group felt that he shouldn't actually have been at the webinar at all, as well as not making those comments. Now, the Chief Justice is actually known to be quite a staunch Christian, and he said this many times. And even in his interview process, it was one of the issues that came up, to say whether he was going to be able to be impartial on these kind of issues. But the challenge is when the religious issues also start to intersect with the political issues. As you could see in the decision there, the conduct committee felt that he was overstepping and not just expressing his freedom of expression or freedom of religion, but actually going into a political area, which judges are not supposed to do in terms of their own code of conduct.
Okay, he's a smart man, we know that. And he is coming out to say the entire committee is wrong to take that decision, because there's a line between infringing on his rights to expression and saying that it affects the policies of the profession that he has chosen. So what is the argument about creating a balance between your role as a Chief Justice and you expressing an opinion? He did clearly say that he is not against his country's stand, but as a citizen, he should be entitled to have an opinion on issues like this. He is appealing that decision. What do you understand he is saying? Is it what I said now, or there is more to it?
Well, he's questioning the actual legality of this decision in terms of the Constitution. He is saying that his rights are being infringed on, his rights to express his freedom, and saying that just being a judge does not mean that his rights to freedom of expression are somehow reduced or limited. But we also know that, generally speaking, in terms of the code of conduct for judges, that there is an expectation that judges will not express their opinions on political issues openly. So you won't see a judge, for example, campaigning or speaking in favor of any political party, because oftentimes those very same political parties will appear before them. And you don't want a situation where, for example, a judge would be speaking on behalf of a political party and then has to make a decision on that. And that's a comparative situation when it comes to this, considering that the Israel and Palestine issue does come up a lot in the South African courts.
Wow.
And in fact, in the complaint itself, reference was made to other cases that were brought before the judiciary where they had to decide on whether utterances that were made about the Israel-Palestine situation by government were correct, whether South Africa's government policy was correct. It is a very big political issue here that we see sometimes protests over, so the feeling was by those who complained that, knowing that, the Chief Justice should have been very, very circumspect about his actions and not actually taking it. Of course, he's taking a very different view. He says that he should be allowed to express his views. And we now have to wait to see whether the appeal committee will agree with the Chief Justice or uphold the decision from the conduct committee.
Well, Dianne, it's interesting that, in South Africa, this Israeli-Palestine, talk really hits up in that country. But what are the likely action that, will the JCC take against the Chief Justice, the Chief Judge, for refusing to apologize and retract his comments if he doesn't in any way?
Well, he has every right in terms of the process to actually appeal, which is what he's doing. So there wouldn't be any action taken against him for not apologizing or for appealing. But once the decision is made on the appeal, if it is found that he does have to apologize, then he will actually have to make a public apology for his comments, and which is the sanction. And of course, there is the other possibility that the conduct committee will find in his favor based on what he has submitted, and then he will not have to apologize. So we'll have to see now with this appeal process which way the decision goes.
All right, Dianne, okay. I need to ask you this before I think Felicity has something, but just. It's interesting because I'm looking at those comments again from the Chief Judge, and he talked about, being a Christian, that he has to support, Israel. If I'm not mistaken, Israel is not a Christian country. It's a Jewish country. So the issue of religion now intersects here, doesn't it?
Yeah, just to add to that, we also know that South African laws, the CJ and all Christians are free to practice their belief within the confines of the Constitution. So just basically we're asking, what does this say about the freedom of worship in South Africa?
Surely.
No, there's definitely no issue, I think, about the freedom of worship in South Africa.
Okay.
The issue is more about what judges can or should be speaking about publicly, considering that they often have to make decisions on all areas of life. So, for example, you don't want a judge to speak negatively publicly about the South African government, knowing that it might have to rule against the South African government, because quite honestly, the South African government gets taken to court quite a lot here, and those cases do end up at the Constitutional Court. So the code of conduct for judges does require or call for some restraint when it comes to speaking publicly as a judge, so that you don't create any impression of a bias when the cases come before you. And that's, I think, the real heart of the matter. The Chief Justice is known to be a staunch Christian. He often preaches at Christian events and at church events, and has been covered previously doing that. But when that now intersects with his role as the Chief Justice, that's where the challenge arises.
Before we let you go quickly, we're running out of time. What will be the repercussion for him not accepting? He is appealing. Even if he appeals and it fails, do you see him apologizing? If he insists he will not, what will be the repercussion?
Well, if he is told after the appeal to apologize, he really can't choose not to. You know, the judiciary operates within certain confines, and there's only one structure, which is the Judicial Service Commission, that is actually tasked with dealing with these disciplinary issues. So if the appeal process finds that he should apologize, he will have to apologize. He doesn't have another avenue. He might choose to take it to court to then question the actual decision, but ultimately there has to be an outcome. And if the outcome is for him to apologize, then even though he's the top judge, he would have to do that.
All right, Dianne, thank you as always for giving some clarity to the issues in South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Always such a delight to have Dianne Hawker on the program. She really brings a context in it. So there is quite a strong Israeli-Palestinian sentiment in South Africa.
Agreed, but I was reading the comments that the man made, and yes, I know emotions are tense and all of that, and the issue is quite controversial.
Religious emotions.
But he was careful with the wording of his, it was lengthy. He was careful with the wording. He says he is not against the policy of his government.
Yep, in South Africa.
But because of his belief, and he is talking about love and talking against hatred, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're talking about it. Love is love. Hatred is hatred. So if you look at it literally...
Yeah, but many might, many on the Palestinian sentiment, when you say as a Christian, other than love and pray for Israel, because I know hatred for Israel by me and for my nation can only attract unprecedented curses.
That is the faith part of his belief. And if you look at that statement again, look at it again, he says, other than love and pray for Israel. That's his personal sentiment. It shouldn't be something.
If you hate, will it bring unprecedented curses for the nation of South Africa?
Is that something that we believe in? Really?
So when you believe that as a chief judge, you come out and say that, and I go back again.
I get what you're saying.
Because this is a religious thread he just pulled. He just pulled rather.
Yeah, it still remains that. He wasn't preaching hatred. He was preaching love against hatred. And for any group, nobody wants. There are people in Israel. There are people in Palestine. Basically.
Well,
it is an interesting conversation, really. I see reason why it is controversial. So we're going to break now. When we come back, there is more on Breakfast Central.
I need more of this.
Don't go away.
Well then, welcome back to Breakfast Central right here with Lisa and Felicity. Don't forget, catch us on our social media space at News Central TV is where to be, Instagram, Facebook, and not forgetting YouTube, and log on to the website, newscentral.africa. Quickly now, sports we go. We've got our News Central, First Lady of Sports, I would love to call her Onyechi Obaro. Onyechi, good morning to you, and I'm sure we all had a great time last night watching two great UEFA Champions League football action.
Yes, of course. It was interesting to watch two great football action yesterday. Chelsea taking on Porto there. I'll start from the Chelsea game. It's good to see Chelsea returning to winning ways after their loss against West Bromwich Albion. Thomas Tuchel was able to put his side together, or maybe his lads were able to come up with something wonderful yesterday. Mason Mount coming to the rescue with that goal there. I would say FC Porto was not a bad day for them because they did play well, but were not able to take good chances there. Now, looking at Africans who featured, of course, we had Seydou Sanusi was not able to even rally round, even when he had a goal that could take them to the quarterfinal yesterday. So we're waiting for the second leg. Maybe the second leg could do justice in the game in the second leg. So it's not going to be a win-win for Chelsea yet.
All right, so Chelsea, Mason Mount, Ben Chilwell, they got the win away from him against Porto, 2-0. They're safe. But let's talk about the other big one, which was a repeat of last year's final. Bayern Munich at home against PSG. What really happened?
Wonderful. What really happened is the question we really need to ask there, because Bayern Munich could hold their own against Paris Saint-Germain. But goals or brace from Kylian Mbappe. You could see the first goal, an early goal, 2 minutes something seconds there. Kylian Mbappe having that assist from Neymar, and also Marquinhos getting to have that goal to the second goal for Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain, Pochettino was able to hold that line for Paris Saint-Germain. You could see at the time Bayern Munich started defending at the beach because the attacking side was coming from Paris Saint-Germain there. But it's a surprise that Bayern Munich could hold it, replying the goals until it ended 2-3 there. But we'll say for sure that even without their star players, Robert Lewandowski and Gnabry, they were able to pull something good. Kimmich was so wonderful yesterday. We could see that he was so good in the midfield area. Looking the fact that he was playing in a different area this time around. Thomas Muller coming with a header, and Choupo-Moting, we can't forget, he had to reply the first goal for Bayern Munich there. Put in so much effort, but couldn't just take some chances. Keylor Navas was so good in goal for Paris Saint-Germain. So maybe that really frustrated the effort of Choupo-Moting when they tried to put a second goal in his name. But it was a good game yesterday. Pochettino having a side, but we cannot guarantee that Paris Saint-Germain can be able to do wonders over there at the Parc des Princes when Bayern Munich returns, and maybe their star players return back to the fold.
All right, so yes, so we saw a Cameroonian on the score sheet, and that's great from an African perspective. Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting, scored, but even though his team, Bayern Munich, lost down. So let's look at those results once again. So Bayern Munich at home against PSG, losing 2-3, and Chelsea 2-0 away from home. Looks like they are in for the next round. We'll see matches today, though, in the UEFA Europa League. The likes of Arsenal will be busy. Ajax against Roma, Arsenal against Slavia Prague, Dinamo Zagreb against Villarreal, and Granada up against Manchester United. I'm sure Onyechi, you'll tell us more on those matches later on in the game at 10:30. But before we let you go, Onyechi, let's come down home to Africa. Let's come down home to Nigeria. Let's come down home to the southern parts. Edo State National Sports Festival, well, 2020 postponed to 2021. But we're hearing reports that an abrupt end might be in the offing.
Yes, those are reports, not really certain right now. But there are reports that due to a lack of funds, according to the Commissioner for Information in Edo State, due to lack of funds from the federal government of Nigeria, maybe the games will be brought to an abrupt end. But we are looking to get more information there. Remember, this game has been postponed back to back. And right now, even after the opening ceremony and even some athletes winning gold, we are hearing of this news. We'll get to verify very soon.
Let me first of all, which state was on top of the medal table before they postponed it? If they will postpone it, they cancel it, which state?
Right now, Lagos.
Oh, I was looking to see whether my state was on top there. No, okay, so before just in case. Anyway, thank you very much, Onyechi Obaro, our first lady of sports right here on this center. We'll catch you much later on in the game.
Thank you so much, Olisa.
Wow. Okay.
Always good to see you both just talk about sports with so much passion. But it will be unfortunate if they had to stop that event.
Because we have athletes there right now. So
yeah, I heard a pregnant woman won the taekwondo belt. Is that true?
It is, yeah, because at this point, we're still getting trickling of the results on who is on the medals table. So if the announcement comes that it's been cancelled due to lack of funds, it will be a really...
But will it affect those that have already won? Because they've won is they've won.
So does it mean they will not cancel all the medal?
That's what I'm asking you. You're the sports guru.
But we don't know whether it's because it's unconfirmed reports because we're hearing it this morning. So we want to catch Onyechi much later at 10:30 West African time to know if the National Sports Festival in Nigeria, which started 2 days ago with so much pomp and pageantry of an opening ceremony, has been abruptly cancelled.
I really doubt. But fingers crossed,
quite strong. It is quite strong.
All right, let's take a look at what's on our timeline. We all love this part of the morning. We get to just, take it easy and show you interesting stuff from our timeline. So we'll start. I will go fast. I have something for you. This one is something I'm guilty of. I did it when I was a child. I disturbed my parents and they loved me for it. Watch this.
Work it.
Oh my
you do?
days.
If you were the parent, what would you do?
Whoa.
I saw it. I don't look like it, but trust me.
What? Was that from Twitter or your timeline on Twitter?
On my, I think no, it's Instagram. I saw it on Instagram, but I was like,
oh
what?
my gosh. And I suppose that's the dad.
They're used to her. Apparently, that's my thinking from that video. They're used to her. The father was just shaking his head, and the mom was trying to do her job.
I can understand the mom is trying to curtail the whole, shenanigans, but just look at, her dad.
I hope
Poor
it made
man
you
basically could just, he was out of it. He was out of it. He shakes his head and says, oh my God.
No, but seriously though, you could let us know what you would do if you're a parent watching this and your daughter just starts doing that. Maybe they're not even aware she's filming it. What would you do? Would you laugh? Would you spank her? Would you get up and leave? There are some dads that I know will get up and leave. Mine will just sit back and enjoy.
You said you did this. As,
yes, I did a lot. My dad was my horse. I used to climb on his back, even until I was in secondary school.
Really?
He would go on his horse.
She doesn't look like somebody who is...
Oh, she will do that. That girl that I'm seeing, she will do worse.
She clearly looks like someone who's out of secondary school and still in the parents' house, well, obviously still, but still creating havoc.
Yeah, but that's the things that the parents will miss when she's not there.
Yeah.
It might look like, sorry, that's bad English. It might look like a stress to those that are watching it, but
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I like it. I hope you did too.
Children of nowadays. What the... And the song she was singing, like really. Oh my gosh.
Over to you. What's on your timeline?
I really love this, Felicity. Thank you very much. And we hope those watching now, we don't have a spike in this kind of
Please,
incidents on social media.
Spike kids, make your parents happy. For those that still have them with them, make them happy.
All right, let's go to what's been on my timeline lately. So this is quite an interesting one. We'll just take the comments to really read it out. Now, it's from Baka Class Captain, who calls himself Alpha Q. And he says, if I'm dating and treating your friend right, and you know she doesn't appreciate me, please feel free to snatch me from her. Use juju, what we call jazz or charm or black magic here. Use juju if you must. Now this is coming from a man.
Okay, before you go to the comment, let me just quickly ask you: is somebody treating you right? But there's somebody I know in this office that will snatch you like this.
Please, I am available to be snatched, but not with juju.
No. Talk true. Is somebody treating you right now?
At the moment.
Yes. Okay, her loss. Okay. But no, there's someone available here. If someone is not treating you right,
anyone I know,
she will come. Don't worry. I'll
my
tell
God.
you.
Does she read the news? Does she wear glasses?
No. No.
Does she present breakfast show?
In your dreams, keep dreaming,
is she wearing a red outfit?
I laughed when I saw that. I really laughed.
Let's see some of the comments. There are some responses to it. We got lots of it. This is from Neki XOXO goes, funny thing is men, and Felicity, I want you to check this out. Funny thing is men love women that show them pepe. I know someone who I know very well, and that her man deserves way better, but nothing concerns me. He should be chopping the pepper. She's showing him because people don't show me pepper too. People don't show me pepper too. Heartbreak must reach everybody.
Mean. That's
really
mean.
And I think we have another comment to go with this one. More comments regarding this. And David Dakwa goes, be careful what you wish for. In the first response, in the comments to the man talking about him getting snatched. So many men, or perhaps chimed in to say, oh, we like you to, well, why do you want to be snatched from your girlfriend's best friend?
You are the people that will be answering it. My own is if somebody's not treating you right, you shouldn't be in it. I'm not saying jump out, have conversations. Those things are important. Be honest as best as you can. But if you keep at it and it's not working, come on. Your life is...
Yeah, but there's this thing about trying to circle around your girlfriend's friends. So it's
you can't help who you like. I'm just saying.
Would you approve of it? Would you approve of it?
Well, Please don't put me on. No, but seriously, if you have a friend and they're going out and something happens that is not of your own making, I don't see a reason why two adults that are over 18 shouldn't be together if they want to, if they're not hurting anybody.
Well, you owe loyalty to your friend. Why?
Okay, so.
Perhaps it could be the other way around.
There is self-respect. There is restraint. You can restrain yourself because of your loyalty to your friend. But if your emotions, you can talk to your friend about it. Do you have a problem with me going out with your ex?
To replace you?
There's nothing like... Wait, Joe. I guess that's how we wrap things up this morning. I think there is something we're supposed to leave you with. Let me see. Okay.
We're leaving them with the news at the top of the hour. That's for sure.
9 o'clock. We have the very special...
Yeah.
The lady that used to sit this big seat that I'm trying to...
The seat is not that big there.
The seat is big.
We'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be a Friday. It's going to be a banger of a show, so you don't want to miss it. We've got entertainment, sports, socials on our timelines, and yes, indeed,
the full shebang.
Yeah. Until then, I am Felicity, who is about to snatch me.
We need to continue talking. No, I'm not snatching. His brother zoned forever. Who be the person where you thought? Let's hear it now. Who is the person?
You should tell me. You should tell me. You should tell me. They won't hear. They won't hear.